Aha, we're live, and it's bright in here, and I'm sweating. Oh my word. How's it all going? I'm on Croucher Needham's Instagram here. We're joined, hopefully in a second, by Ash Sutton. He's actually talking to me. He's just said on the WhatsApp chat that he needs a poo, so that's nice. I hope you're all good. I'm absolutely drenched in sweat. I've literally got out of the shower. So it's been football tonight down the road. So it's been hard work. Anyway, Ash Sutton looks like he has joined. I'm just waiting for him to request, which would be lovely. It's like the hottest ever day in here. It's a nightmare. So yeah, I've got loads of questions for Ash. I need him to press request so he can actually get involved. But yeah, pre-race poo, that'll be about right. See how long you can keep this up. Yeah, thanks, Ash. That's lovely of you, mate. I can always get you back, Ash, because I am the one that will be holding the microphone one day when we get back to normality, and I actually just properly do you, mate. So yeah, so if you want your sponsorship with Croucher and Needham to exist, mate, then you better press request, which you have done. So go live with Ash Sutton Racing. Swash actually that much this year because it's obviously pandemic time. But yeah, I reckon we'll have a little chat. Oh, that was nice, Ash. Yeah, cheers, mate.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. No worries.
Mate, I just knew it. I knew. As soon as I said, I'll do this with you, I just knew this had happened, mate. Look at the sweat dripping off my baldy head.
Where have you been? You've been playing football?
I played five-a-side. I proper took a big knock as well. A big hit.
More like six-a-side when you rock up there, isn't it?
Five and a half aside. Or four head aside. Oh, proper hard work.
Can't really go there with a forehead comment. Jesus.
What's been happening with your hair, actually? It looks all right today.
I've seen it. What, is it normally not?
I've just choked on a peanut bar, mate. You look mint. I've seen a picture of you today. Worst thing for you, mate, that's happened is when you were Josh Cook's teammate, to be fair, because he's a bit funny looking with his eyes being really close and ginger. No, but that's the honest truth. Does anyone agree?
Yep.
Then you went to BMR and you obviously had Jason as your teammate. I mean, and anyone can look better than him, but he's a good driver. And I was like, fair play, he's back on top of things. And then, mate, why have you picked Aidan Moffat as a teammate?
I know. I've got no.
You've got no chance, like, absolutely no chance with that face of yours. Yeah. He's a beaut, him, isn't he?
God, I think if he spent as much time pampering himself as he did, I'd be well all right.
You know what? I can always imagine it happens in your debriefs. I'm like, I'd love to walk in. I bet there's like, I always see everyone like really looking at all the data. I bet his computer is a mirror.
No, trust me, you do not want to walk in during our debrief at the end of the day. I've walked in and I've seen Aidan standing there, stark bollock naked, trying to get in front. Yeah, trust me. It's hilarious. Man.
When does this happen? Can I see?
I'll drop you a text. I'll give you a 10-minute warning next time. You can pop.
Hey, you need to put 50p in the meter, mate. What's going on?
Oh, no, it's my laptop behind. It was just there.
Oh, right, mate. Hey, listen, listen, thank you for coming along. Just to get everyone straight, I'm assuming there's a lot of touring car fans watching today.
I don't know about a lot, but there's some.
Some touring car fans watching. The problem we've had is trying to get we both could only do this time and both could only do this day because you've been absolutely flat to the board. You never replied to my message. My mortgage man, who's a good mate of both of ours, he's like, is he alive? I only ever see him on telly. Does he go into like a hibernation and then just the touring cars? Why are you so busy and what have you been doing?
So yeah, general, I'll be honest with you, between races, doing a bit of driver coaching here and there with a couple of drivers. But all of my time at the minute is just taken up with the sim industry. So Pure Sims has gone absolutely crazy for us. That I'm not sat here moaning. I'm just got to make the most of it at the minute. But it's I don't know the best way to explain it. It's just a real fine juggling act between obviously making sure it doesn't affect what we're doing in the touring cars, making sure I can switch off on a Thursday and rock up and do shakedown, etc. from that point onwards. But yeah, literally the moment I wake up Monday morning, obviously everyone talks about having a little lay-in and stuff like that, but that's not my case. It's up nice and early and straight back to doing the sims.
Yeah, I mean, the sim thing is, I thought it'd be a fad, mate, but it really isn't. People have got right into it, haven't they?
Yes, look, I've been involved in it for a very long time, and I think COVID just gave it a massive kick up the backside, which is what it needed at the end of the day. So yeah, for me, I'm not, like I said, not complaining, just trying to maximise the opportunities and keeping customers happy at the end of the day. It's not. I've been on both sides of the fence, and now I'm sat on one side, and I'm trying to deliver goods and keeping to them lead times and stuff like that. And it's challenging, but that's what it's about. It's the old e-commerce side.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, mate. It's impressive. Obviously, we're here today to talk about mostly British touring cars, but I want to speak to you about a few other things as well as you've come up through the ranks, mate. I know that you watch back all the ITV coverage because I'm on it.
You're on it. Big old Tim. Old Tim.
Mate, all I ever seem to do, I mean, people must think, is he Ash Sutton's agent? Because all I ever say is he's the world's best. Do you actually think, on a serious note, do you look at that and go, yeah, whatever, mate? Or do you have an air of arrogance that you are one of the best because you've got to go up against some of the people you have done and beaten them, mate?
You say this. I was actually sat having this conversation with someone the other day, and they said, "Hey, do you watch the stuff back?" And I said, "Yeah, I go back and evaluate myself, other drivers, where they're stronger, where I'm stronger, etc., and just really weigh up the competition, especially Colin at the minute because that's who our main rival is." But obviously, hearing what you guys say is, I don't sit there to big up myself, if that makes sense. It's more the fact I want to just get a real understanding of what people see, how they see it, in terms of like an overtaking move. I know I'm quite a hard-going racer, and obviously some people always sat on the fence, some people don't like it, but that's me, love or hate it. So it's nice to get yourself, Tim, and Mr. Addison, it's good to get everyone's opinion from that. And you're all you're vocal about it, you don't mind speaking up about it, and it's good hearing that. And when, obviously, like yourself, you say a bit of praise towards it, it just keeps me grounded, but in some ways just makes me realise, okay, I can do this. It's nice at the end of the day, it's just a nice thing to hear, and it just keeps building on that little bit of confidence that you need.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, mate. 'Cause when I was driving, no one ever said I was that good, but I remember, I remember Tim Harvey.
All I've got is a pixelated version of you right now, Paul.
Oh, really?
Is that yours or mine?
It might be. Can you see me? Am I back to normal?
No. Well, your forehead is one big pixel.
Mate, that could be you because I'll be honest with you, Liz.
Well, let's ask the viewers: is it me or is it Paul? What are we saying, people?
I can see myself fine, mate.
I can see myself fine. That's the problem.
Wait, I can see both of us fine.
Oh, well,
hang on a minute. Is
everyone watching, do we look okay? As in, like, not pixelated. I know we don't look okay, but
it's pale. Yeah, that'll. I think that might mean it's me, or it means you're pale, which you are very pale.
Audi rides in it. Oh God.
Milky Bar Kid. What? Is it still bad?
I don't know. As long as everyone else can see it, I don't mind.
What about you?
I can see myself. Unfortunately, I can't see you.
Probably not a bad thing, is it? Yeah, sorry about that. Let's see if it gets. Paul is a pixel. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Hey, listen, it's not a vote, guys. Hang on a minute. Tell you what I'll do. Let us see if I can. I'll turn on my discoverable hotspot, even though I can see fine. But no. Right. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's see. Bear with us.
You need an IT guy to come bail you out.
Ash looks HD. Nice one, mate. We can.
Aye.
It's fine. Oh, right. Okay. Is it?
Oh.
You do. Do you know what? It doesn't matter if you can see me or not. We'll just make sure it'll get better. No one needs to listen to me. Watch me anyway. But so yeah, you are aware. You obviously are aware that you're one of the better people in the championship. But how difficult is it actually not to get too arrogant about it?
I've always beaten myself, not beaten myself down, but I've never spoke highly of myself as an individual. So I'm not one of those people that walks in the room and goes, I'm Ash Sutton, I'm the British touring car champion, blah, blah, blah. I'll always play it quite low key, and I'd rather people ask me the questions and then I can answer it. I'm never one to go in and go, I'm the big I am type of thing. So yeah, I think obviously, like I said earlier, having you guys say it is sort of saves me saying it, if that makes sense. And it just, it's not something I'm not, I don't want to come across arrogant. I wouldn't class myself as an arrogant person. But I'll always put other people before me because I'm still very new into this stuff. I know I've got a championship under my belt. I've got only 4 years experience, but when you're looking at someone like Matt Neal, Jason, Colin, they've all got many years under their belts and they've all won championships. So you're still learning. Every day's a school day in this game. You can never stay still. If you do, you go backwards.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, actually? Because you actually, in your second year, you won the title, and it was gobsmacking, mate.
Right.
Gobsmacking. And I don't think I ever doubted what you could do, but there was a bit of me thinking, you can't come into the Touring Car Championship, and it's an art, isn't it? You know, you can't, because there's not many people come in and do the business. You look at Aiello and people like that back in Super Tourers, but they have massive amount of experience before that anyway, didn't they, in other formulas across the world?
Yeah, exactly. And I like, you can sit here and like, if we could pull Josh Cook in now, and he would definitely confirm this, that like 2016 when we were teammates, my first year, I proper played with all the boundaries. I ended up sitting in with Ian Watson up in a Toka bus, knowing what I can and can't get away with. And it's played a part of who I am today, who I have been for the past couple of years. But there's racing, there's being quick and qualifying, but then there's touring car racing. And people really don't understand this until you get into the nitty gritty. And in some ways, you have to race the grid in two halves, in my head. Like, there's a certain point in the grid where you go, okay, I can race slightly differently. You know what to expect. But sometimes just towards the back end of the grid, you just got to maybe a bit more cautious with it, because everyone's gunning to make up those places back there. And sometimes you can get caught out in an incident that you didn't even see coming. So you really have to assess every single situation. And each individual driver has their own pros and cons. And the better you know your opposition, and that's for everyone on the grid, the quicker you can work your way through the field. So I spend a lot of time, especially even in like race trim, looking back at videos, whatever it is, just looking at drivers that have been in the championship and had them few years. So, for example, Tom Onzo Cole is back in the championship, which is great. I've never raced him, so I've got to do my homework on it, because there might be a point that the next one of the weekends that I might come across him, and I've got to know how to handle him as a driver. I'm going to be learning him as a driver, and vice versa. So, especially with things like that, people coming in, keep people going, you really do have to keep on top of your toes.
That's a very interesting point. I've driven most of my career with Tom Onzo Cole. We had a bit of a laugh today on Twitter saying, he was like, "It's good to see you back, mate, where you belong." And he was like, "Yeah, spent half my life out the back of Brands Hatch GP, not like that, sweetheart." I'd through the fast stuff. And Tom is one of the fairest, hardest drivers out there, you know. And it's stuff like that, like you say. I didn't ever do my homework like that. I know you and Colin are quite meticulous, if that's a word. But I just learned as I went on, because I was too busy getting drunk and playing five and a half aside, like you just said. I'm actually quite thin at the minute, mate, so have some respect.
No, you've lost a bit of timber.
It's still all round me chubby chops, though, isn't it?
A bingo wing.
Hey, look, my diabetes thing's falling off at the minute.
That's not.
Yeah, that's not ideal. But yeah, I just think it's absolutely astounding, and you know, people who've just joined, it's quite a lot now, mates, because you're so good. I just want to say as well, there's a couple of people I know that will remain nameless because they're in quite high positions at different companies. I've had stand-up arguments, proper arguments with people who say you're arrogant. They say you're massively arrogant and they didn't like you. And I've had to stand up and go, honestly, he's one of the best lads around. Do you think that you have a different version of you away from racing? Are you that focused, or is it just you want people to think that you're the best, or are you just a shy lad? I always think you're the Milky Bar kid, so a bit shy.
Look, if I'm put in a room with a load of new people, I'm not one of those to go in and start talking to people. I'll slowly break that conversation. So I'll class myself as quite a shy person, but I've heard a couple of people say I come across quite arrogant, and I generally think it's because even walking up and down the paddock, I'm so fixated on what's in the job in hand that I could be going to the toilet, but someone might say hello and I completely miss it. And it's not me being arrogant. It's just I'm so focused on the job in hand, what I need to be doing, calculating points to Colin, for example, whatever it is. That's me. That's who I am at a track. Away from the track, you know what I'm like, Paul. Well, you see me in work mode, you see me in a night out mode. There's always different sides to someone, but purely I am just there for racing, looking after sponsors and stuff like that. But I don't want to come across arrogant, but unfortunately, if I do, I don't mean it. It's as simple as that. I'm literally there. It's my job at the end of the day. It's how I earn my living. I'm going to do it to the best I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I've sorted you out to drive a BMW anyway, because it was the CEO.
WSR BMW.
I'm getting that third car, not you, mate. No, I'm joking. Hey, listen, take us back, because I didn't know about this until you mentioned it to me not long ago. I didn't realise how injured you got in a road car accident. And that took you out of racing for 2.5 years or something, didn't it?
Yeah, really, yeah.
What happened, mate? Because, and if it's all right with you talking about it,
yeah,
I find that unreal, because it could have stopped your career, couldn't it?
Yeah, so look, I was a youngster, 17, just got my first car, racing driver at the time. 6 months in, had a road car accident, completely my own doing. And if I'm honest with you, I was very lucky. I will sit here and say I've learned from this mistake. I had a friend in the car, and luckily, thank God, they got out okay. But it's just purely the fact that I didn't know the road well enough. Come to a G junction, went straight over the T junction, and the first thing that stopped me was a tree. So we hit the tree at the speed limit. I'm not going to lie, it might be a fraction over, but look, it was one of those that had the crash. I was absolutely fine after the crash, but sort of 2-3 months after it, started passing blood, things like that. I was really unwell, couldn't go to work, stuff like that. So straight to the hospital. Realised we'd done some damage to my kidneys, so at the time punctured my kidneys. They turned around and said, your kidneys is one of those organs that can self-heal, just give it time. We'll give it 6 months to a year to monitor it. And yeah, so over that, in and out of hospital, I literally every other week, in and out, scans, tests, etc. Got to the end of the 12 months, they said, unfortunately, it's deteriorated. If anything, your other kidney is now having to sort of compensate the one that's not performing. So yeah, within 3 months, I'm in hospital having an operation, in for I think it was just under 2 weeks, like 12, 13 days. Plugged into everything that I could see in the room. It wasn't a nice thing. It wasn't nice for my family to even sit there and witness that their son he's done it to himself. He's obviously plugged into all these machines. So that aside, it was such a long recovery plan. It kind of fell that when I had the operation, it was the back end of the season, which meant the recovery period they said I needed meant that I was going to miss the following season. So I didn't actually get in a car from the start of 2011 to 2014. So it's pretty much 3 years out of the car. So, and at that point they said, no racing ever again. You are kind of done, because they wasn't sure if my kidneys would ever take it.
No way, really?
Yeah. So in 2014, the best thing I could have potentially done was get back in a car and put my body to the best test it could have. Carts beat you up, even when you go indoor karting, you know about it the next morning. So they put your body through a lot. So I did a meeting in that. 2 days later, went and had some more tests, and they said, actually, it still looks okay. Monitored it again, and that's when they gave me the all clear to go racing. So, yeah, to be sat in a hospital bed told you couldn't maybe race for the rest of your life, all because of a little error myself, where I was just maybe a bit naive, and I can sit here and say that I had a car. So, yeah, I've come out the other side. I like to share it massively, because everyone else out there, especially youngsters now learning to drive, they need to learn from people like me that have made that mistake, who potentially can control a car at some speed. The road's completely different.
When you were going off, did you look behind?
Big old.
Look behind you and go, is that JP? It's Plato.
That was just that I got turned by him, yeah.
All right, mate. He won't race touring cars again. We can say what we like now. Probably joking. I don't know that.
No,
unreal, mate. Have you got any lasting effects from that, Ash?
No, just the scars to go along with it. Now and again, I get lower back pain, and I think it's just kidneys taking a bit pounding over a weekend. Can't drink beer, simple as that. I'm a spirits and cider man. That was it. So that was a funny thing. Honestly, before I had the operation, I could drink beer absolutely fine. Couldn't drink cider. Couldn't drink spirits. Had the operation. Obviously, when I could, I slowly introduced drinking back to it. Realised I couldn't handle beer one bit. Throwing up left, right, and centre. So yeah, spirits for me. It's really weird.
I think Scott Waller's watching this. I've just seen a few comments, and I am reading some of your questions as well. And Ash, if you see any questions that you want to answer,
yeah,
just in front of me, mate. Let's get the guys, the girls and boys, the questions answered. But are you like one of them? What are they called? Seance readers. What are them people that like they can feel the spirits and stuff? Because your screen keeps going like bright, and then have you got like a? Is there somebody dead looking after you or something? Cause you
exactly. No. It's my phone's against my laptop. My laptop goes into standby mode, so the screen goes black.
I'm waiting for a toffee crisp to come out your ceiling. Hey, but I honestly, I you only mentioned that story to me. I just find it fascinating, and there's still a lot of accidents on the road. There's a lot of electronics now, isn't there? That help people out on the road. But like you say, mate, I mean, sharing that story is unbelievable, mate. 'Cause we've all been there. I've had a massive crash when I was 17. Didn't know what I was doing, still don't, but I went off in a rear-wheel drive car. Actually, I thought it was front-wheel drive. It was a man.
Not expert, but there's your problem.
I'm sure we can get this to understeer at 60.
Or throttle.
That's how I coach.
God, I've seen it.
So, but what about going forward then? Obviously, you've got a karting background. Did an amazing thing. That was that last year? The end of last year? What was it you won in karting? It was World Finals or something.
Yeah,
that was
Miami International World Final. Yeah. Don't baffle me, mate.
Mate,
it's one of the best things. I can sit here and say, look, nothing will top winning the championship in 17, but that comes close second, because 2 weeks prior to it, I haven't got a kart. I haven't got a karting license. I'm like saying to the boys in the team and the engine builder, I don't want to go. Like, I don't fill up for it. I've never driven a kart I've not driven a kart for 4 years, not raced one for 7, 8 years. And they're like, right, world finals, off you go. I'm like, oh, God. But yeah, look, we come away with it and we wrapped it up. It was, mate, absolutely mind-blowing.
Unbelievable. The amount of respect that I've seen on Twitter when that happened, it was more than your tiling touring cars. I mean, a lot of because probably a lot of people wanted to see you fail because you were a touring car driver, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I mean, the support, that's what I love about motorsport. If you've earned it, people are pretty sweet with you, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at like Piers Gasly at the weekend, everyone was praising him when he got out of the car at the end of that F1 race. And it was very similar in some ways for me to experience that kind of thing. When I got out of the car, there's people that I've never met, but know that I did touring cars, that are in a completely different country, France, Italy, that are all coming up to me. I can't understand them. I just got a pat on the back. But
very
yeah. Exactly that. But it just makes you realise, A, how big touring cars is, and B, how great the motorsport industry is. Yeah, there's going to be people we don't get on with, and that's part and parcel of any job. But everyone supports everyone, and and you can always see it. You walk up and down the paddock, and you know when someone sort of acknowledges what you've just done, and they will make you aware of it's good job, well done type of thing. So yeah, it is great.
Yeah. Right. Moving on. Single seaters, Formula Ford. I didn't realise. I first met you at Knockhill and we spoke about this before, when you basically had just come from underneath a tyre wall in one of the biggest accidents I have ever seen at that hairpin at Knockhill, which it was horrible, mate. I remember watching it on I think, was it a Saturday? Or was it Sunday?
Was it Sunday morning? Yes, Sunday morning it was. Because I was getting on the plane in agony. Yeah, Sunday morning.
Mate, well, I was working for ITV, obviously, and I didn't really watch the Formula Ford as it was back then. And anyway, someone went, "Have you seen this?" And I was just getting to Knockhill to be on TV for ITV, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And it was you just having brake failure going down to the hairpin, and I was like, "Oh, I can't believe he's all right, unbelievable." You, Dad, did you have 5 wins that year?
Oh, I'll be honest with you, I can't remember the stats from that year, if I'm honest. But we changed teams literally a couple of races in, and it was the best thing I ever did at the time. And to be fair, Vic Lee was the one that put that deal together for me, and that was just met Phil Glue as well at that time, and it was a great little package that we had. Phil gave me that first guidance with the team because he worked closely with James, who actually looks after Ollie Jackson in the British Touring Car, so he engineers him now. But they put a proper car underneath me, and it's suddenly that's when my confidence grew, and I can sit here now and say they did that to me and made me realise that right, we can do something with this. And yeah, that year we racked up some serious stats in such a short space of time, and yeah, we racked them up, including crashing cars. But it was a good year. Just Knockhill, that accident, it still scares me now. I'm not going to lie.
If no one's ever seen it, I think it is on YouTube, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's on my actual YouTube channel. I put it up, yeah.
Okay, well, have a look.
If you haven't seen it,
because it's one of the worst, horriblest accidents I think I've ever seen. I mean, it's not you want to ambulance chase, but to see what happened and you going to the floor with the pedals, you must have been like, oh my word. And the wreck the cell barrier must have saved you, mustn't it?
Yeah, like I can remember once it all come to a stop, that luckily we didn't need a halo, but I can see why they have halos now. I literally up to the top of the steering wheel, I had tyre barrier. So I'm talking probably 3 inches max that it was away from my helmet, and I physically couldn't get out the car until the marshals got over. So yeah, look, everyone moans about these halos on single seaters. I've experienced it to a small degree of why they're there. So yeah, look, let's keep them.
That's a nice comment from Scott Waller, showing off going into the hairpin. That's got. I don't think into the barriers at 120 mile an hour showing off.
I was just saying that like break, Scott. That's all it was. Didn't quite work.
Or as Ash says, going into the bazzers at 120.
Bazzers, in we go.
Oh my word! But do you think that was a defining moment for you in your career?
What, the crashing or the Formula Ford?
The Formula Ford, because did you want to go to F1? Was touring cars on your radar? Had you met Warren Scott by then from BMR? Had you met Simon Needham from Croucher Needham? I think that was a bit later, isn't it?
So I met Warren, approached me to do the Clio deal end of that year, pestered me like hell. At that time, all the sponsors involved with me at that moment in time basically secured me to have my be a part of the first F4 season. So when they just changed to the new car, I was meant to be doing that. It wasn't till Warren put this deal down to try and pursue the touring car career that, look, touring cars has always been on my radar. I've been very, very realistic that as a family, we've not had huge amounts of money. We've struggled to do karting. So I really relied on my sponsors. And financially, Tin Top GT racing is the option that I'm going to more likely have a career in. A single seater, as much as I would love to have an opportunity in one and be able to show potentially what I could do, I was a realist at the time, and it's like, okay, we can't afford to do that. I might get a couple of years and maybe get to F3, but then what? I just go 2 steps backwards and sideways. So yeah, clear cut, picked up by Warren, and the journey from there kind of just locked me into doing the whole British touring car thing from that point onwards.
So was it on your radar then? It was
Yeah,
kind of.
I was a big fan when I won the British Championships in karting in 2007. I was actually at the Autosport show the year Jason won it in 2000, like the January 2008. And there's a picture with me, him, and Lewis. It was kind of the defining moment, actually. I want to go and do touring cars, even though I've got Lewis stood to my left. That's what I want to go and do, because it was more my style of racing, getting your elbows out, getting stuck in, and where single seaters, you have to give a bit of room. It's not, well, there's a reason why we all watch British touring cars and not F1. So let's just leave it at that. And that's me as a driver wrapped up in one.
Oh, mate. Well, I can see you couldn't do some of the moves you do at the minute in a single seater. You'd probably try.
I'll be on my kid lid for a bit, wouldn't I, if that was the case?
I don't think there's many people like yourself, mate, who can who are street fighters like you. But yeah, the first year of touring cars in the MG, 888 MG, if I remember rightly, it was an RML GPRM hybrid car.
Yeah.
Went well. You finished fourth, I think, at Brands Hatch, your first ever race. Was that right?
Yeah, look, qualified really well, finished really well. It was like kind of, wow, okay, we can do something here. And yeah, that was the first year I actually met Simon from Croucher Needham, and they've been a part of my whole career since then. He was, I'll be really honest with you, there was a point where I was sat not long before the first round and we didn't have enough money. And thankfully, Simon was the man that filled that slot in and got us on the grid. So yeah, I wouldn't be sat here now if it wasn't for Simon at Croucher Needham. So they've been a part of from the moment I got in a touring car all the way to current times now. But yeah, first year in the car was mega. Look, I had Josh Cook as a teammate. He was into his second year. He'd almost done a bit of the learning stuff that I wanted to go and do. And he kind of guided me massively in terms of how to get to driver's briefing. It sounds so silly, but it's a bit daunting. You first ever one, you're a bit like, oh, all right, how do we do this type of thing? And look, Josh was good as gold. Best teammate I've ever could have ever had at that moment in time. And the team, 888 at the time, Ian Harrison, Mickey Surgeon, fantastic guys, looked after me. As much as I was still a part of BMR, I had the best year in terms of enjoyment and entry to British touring cars.
Oh, mate, I remember it well. And you know what I remember most about your year was watching you. I think you got your first podium at Croft, and then you followed that up with a reverse grid win. You drilled the side of Turkington. And I was like, lad.
Yeah.
I'm going to win this. I was sat with Steve Ryder. I said, Steve-o, he's going to win this, mate. He went, a man of his calibre, winning a race in his debut year. I went, watch and learn, son. And you did it. What a great day that must have been.
That was a mega day. And look, like you said, it's front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive track at the time. It was before they retarmac Croft. It was massive on tyre deg. And up to this point, I've had 4 or 5 punches because I'm learning front-wheel drive. I've never had to worry about tyre management. So I'm driving around Croft and I've got no front tyres left on the thing. I can remember having Jack Goff in the BMW welded to the rear bumper. Every apex we got to, I just got a big old shunt in the rear where I'm just stopping it, trying to not hurt any in the front. But yeah, look, to get our first podium on a track that we really shouldn't have, just was a massive step up for me. And then for it to rain, I was like, right, game on, we're going now. I still can't, there's still some wicked little videos of coming through the chicane where we're like fully crossed up, rear wheels in the mud. It's like, I was out of control.
That is, if you've got a car Larry through the chicane, just explain to people what that's like through there, because it's 4th gear.
Yeah. So you're coming up, you come obviously off of turn 2, and you're just short shifting the wet. You're just trying to manage wheel spin. You grab another gear, and you always hit. You clip the right curve, don't you? Just literally you skim the barrier, clip the right curve. If you get it wrong, you end up clipping the left curve and the barrier, but with massive opposite lock on. And there's no exit, and it goes straight into the rallycross track. So you're eyeing up a barrier on your left. You've got the rallycross track on your right, and you're like passing the window going, right, how am I getting out of this one? And it's just quality. Look, if you got 5 minutes, it's a right race to go and watch. It's still on YouTube now. So I sit there and watch it because it makes me laugh. I was like, I wouldn't even trust myself doing that. I'm there doing it. It's like, it's worrying.
Oh, mate, it is. It's one of the most interesting parts of a whole touring car year. That track, that corner, fourth gear. It's like threading the eye through a needle, isn't it? Oh, my God.
Painful. It's like Jim Clark's out the back in the rain. That's
Oh.
just bad, isn't it? Bar over the grass. Whoop! Straight back up.
The difference between me and you, mate, is you love that. I hate it.
To be fair, I don't mind being on the edge.
Oh, God, no, I don't. Oh, I don't. You were brought back down to earth, though, mate, at Silverstone.
Yep.
Did you guys qualify 1 and 2 and come first and second? Was that?
Yeah, we
qualified?
Bro, that's it. Yeah, locked out the front row, me and Josh. Mega start. Josh actually dropped back to second behind Tom at the time. And we actually played a nice little team game there. We worked together. I backed Tom back into Josh. Josh got past him, and we both drove away for the 1-2 as it was at the time. Come in, park firm, mate. Yeah, simple wing check. And we were a fraction out, I'll be honest. Well, from memory. But yeah, look, back of the grid, full weight on the car, taking the win and second off of us. So yeah, it was a kick in the teeth, but rules are rules at the end of the day, and you've got to play by them, and we were just a fraction out on them.
Yeah, unreal, isn't it? Unbelievable, especially starting that race with full ballast at the back round.
Silverstone.
Well enjoyable. Cheers, Alan.
Yeah, thanks for that.
As we got to the end of your first touring car year, I remember asking Alan Menu, who was doing a bit of driver coaching for Triple A.
Looking after both men.
You and Cookie. And I asked him the question live on television. He didn't like this. I said, are we going to see Ash Sutton in a Subaru next year? And that was just a question I thought I'd ask. I'd heard nothing.
Yeah.
And he didn't even answer it. He just said how good you were. What kind of relationship have you got with Alan? And do you still speak to him? He's a proper legend of the sport, mate.
Yeah, Matt, look, I love him as a person, love his family. I've been up and had dinner, obviously before COVID, a couple of times when we were up at Knockhill. Literally, I'll get a phone call Friday, fancy coming around for a bit of grub. And yeah, so look, he's a fantastic guy.
I can just imagine him saying that, mate, in his French accent.
Give us the impression.
Menage a trois, would you like to come around my house and I'll make some garlic bread? I don't know.
Oh dear. He's a fantastic guy, and a couple of times even like he massively helped me through 16. Again, just learning the ins and outs of touring car racing. 17, he still played a part because he was there helping Josh Price at the time in the Subaru. And there was a couple of times, you know, when sometimes as a driver, you really feel all the pressure. You're going into the next race and everything is against you. You're on a hard tyre, you've got all the weight on, etc., etc. And a couple of times he's come up to me, put his arm around me and said, what are you worrying about? That type of attitude, and said, you've got this. And he just managed to pick it up a couple of times and put my mindset back where it needed to be for that race. And he didn't have to do that. He had no need to. He weren't there for me, but he did it. And he probably played a part in some of my results in that year.
Yeah, unbelievable. And as we went on to 17, we were desperate to see how you were going to get on. I think we all knew that you were going to give Jason a run for his money, if not be better. That was the honest opinion around the paddock. Yeah. But Jason was still top of his game. Turkington only just beat him, I remember, the year before.
Yeah.
Did you have an early indication at pre-season testing that you were close, or were you thinking, I've got this, I could have a chance here?
Pre-season testing was very good for me. Obviously, first time in the car, real drive, love it for over that and front wheel drive. And we did literally only a couple of tests. Found the limits very quickly. I remember my first time out in the Subaru, it's wet. I spun up craners. I'm doing all sorts. So I'm learning the old antics of rear wheel drive. So we did Donington. Went to Pembury, did a couple of day test there. And I actually had a massive off at Pembury. And not many people know about this.
Yeah. Someone told it me, and I was there the next day, and there was bits of Subaru everywhere. I was like, Ash. And whose car was it, Ash, that you crashed?
Well, I actually did mine and Jason's. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't. So look, I learned the boundaries of it all. Literally, it was one of those that let me get this right. I had a big off in mind. So Pembury, the guys, you guys that are watching it, if you don't know it, Pembury's got a real tight hairpin. You go for a fast right left. It's almost a chicane, just kind of stretched out. But on the exit of that left, there is no runoff. I can tell you that now. And I had a little moment through the left. And I was like, I got this. And it just snapped and sent me hard right. It cracked with bone dry, but the grass was wet. I just did not slow down. Straight in, front, side, and rear, all in one. I was like, oh, that's great. I also then jumped in Jason's car to finish a test that we were doing. And I had the corner before at the right hand, I had another moment, crossed the grass, split her off. I was like, oh, God, I think it's time to call it a day. And Carlos, who was running like chief engineer at the time, Carlos Foe, he was one. I think it's time to call it a day. Put it in a truck. Yeah, it was
all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Hey, Ash, I completely forgot about that, mate. And I remember, I don't know how I've seen it, but somebody had an onboard and they shown it me. And I was at Pembury the next day, and there was bits of Subaru everywhere, and I was dying to Snapchat it, but I thought, no, better not. So don't really want to upset him. But
it probably did good because I probably sent it to him, and he's like going around sending it.
It was Cookie.
Yeah.
What did JP say? What did Plato say to you, mate? Did he?
He wasn't there that day. He had to. I think he had to go home that day. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly. But yeah, the fact that he's gone, right, car's there, but just don't crash it. All right, Jace, no worries. Yeah, so that was quite an entertaining. But look, I did the damage when the boys had the time to repair it. Actually, going back to it, I can remember when I was sat in the barrier. Bearing in mind, it's absolutely peed down. The puddles are everywhere. And chief mechanic, Brenton, his name is, he jumped over the tyre barrier and both feet just sunk in the mud. And it was one of those that he was stood in front of the car, and I just got this evil look through the screen, straight into the visor. I'm like, God, so I still get told I own a pair of socks and trainers now. Oh, dear.
Oh, mate. Do you know, it's unreal that, though, because I remember your first weekend at Brands Hatch, and it was going down Knockhill Bend. I was like, oh my God, Billy alert.
Yeah.
I was,
photo, though.
Bit of curb, wasn't it?
I actually got tagged. I think it was Matt Simpson just got tagged himself, just a concertina effect. But yeah, I was going backwards down paddock, smoke barreling off the old rear wheels, and 20 touring cars running towards you, or whatever it was.
Hey, the fact that Eddie the Eagle Edwards tagged you, mate, that is just unbelievable.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
That gear from the Olympic Games in 1985 just taking you.
Dear, that was hilarious.
But hey, listen, it got so much better, didn't it? I mean, what a year, what a championship. I remember it wasn't all plain sailing, actually. I remember seeing you the most probably irate and very uncomfortable I've ever seen you, because you'd done Colin Turkington round the outside at Brooklands, and they went for you. And I can't remember what happened. They were saying you'd done it off track. It looked like a move, to be fair. It would have been fine years ago, but everybody went for you, didn't they? And you must have felt the pressure then.
That was one of those times where you had to reset. So we spent all year clawing them points back. Right, we're in sort of clutching distance of Colin in terms of championship. Race one, the bit that I got so upbeat about is, and look, you guys have seen me that I live my emotions on my sleeve. You saw that last year at Snetterton. So really bugged me the fact that I made a move down into Brooklands, outbroke Colin, ran the outside, got the elbow mid-corner. I was expecting that, not got a problem with that. Bear in mind, there's still an overlap. I'm off the track because of the old elbow. So I've just sort of made my gap on the way back on. That wasn't allowed. The bit that I was really annoyed with, Colin got away with it in race one. Colin did exactly the same move, got pushed off. Okay, I'll admit he wasn't as far off as what I was. I think he was just on the edge of the white line, but he still pushed his way back in for the next right. He was okay with it. And that's what kind of pushed my buttons a little bit. And the mood would have been absolutely clean if he didn't unsettle the car through Brooklands into Luffield. So look, we started at the back of the grid, and bearing in mind I've worked my backside off. The team everyone is like raging because we've come from, like you said, facing the wrong way at paddock, no points after 4 rounds, to we're actually in a shot of it, to back of the grid. Our rivals now sat P6 or whatever it was, and it's like, okay, this is where it's all going wrong. But yeah, the old heavens opened, karma struck, and Colin was unfortunately in his set that he was unfortunately involved in an accident, but it favoured us to go into the last round and to fight for it.
And how that last round was something else. And I remember your face on the onboard camera after race 2 when Colin had come from nowhere on the soft tyre, won the race, and you looked like a troubled man, mate. You looked like
I was. That was like, it got to the point where I felt like we always managed to, whether we were right quicker than him or not, we always managed to find the upper edge, and that's what clawed us back all year. Whether it was a tough race through it, like battle our way through in race 3, or for example Croft, we won race 1 and 2 just by holding Colin off, a bit like Knockhill this year. But I had no answer for him in that race, like no answer. And as a driver, when you're on the limit, you're literally got all your effort in. You know the car's within the working window, minus a few little bits here and there, and he catches you at half a second a lap, and you're like, I can't do nothing. And I was like, if I'm up against that in the last race, I have not got an answer for it, because what I just did there was it. And he just managed to cruise up behind me, overtake me, and disappear off. I'm like, boys, that is it. That is me on the knife edge. So yeah, I was like entering race 3 a bit like, what's going on? But again, 2 people come up to me, Plato, Menu, or 3 people, Carlos, team manager, but chief engineer, sorry, at the time, all come up to me and said, nothing to worry about. You've got this, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, just a shame it ended all in the first few laps and we couldn't battle it out. But yeah, they managed to turn me back around into that correct mindset. And those little things are what I class, I was still learning. They just allowed me to deliver it when it mattered.
Tell me then, how important has Jason Plato been to you, mate? Because there's all sorts of people asking questions. There's all sorts of things we can talk about. How good has he been to you, mate? Because he's been good to a lot of people in the championship, to be fair to him.
Yeah, I think realistically, yeah, I had some fantastic years with him. He's a great guy. Still chat to him now, still texting him bits and bobs here and there. But I idolised him for a very long time. The rivalry I had with Matt Neal at the time, he was the reason why I wanted to get into the British touring cars, and I will happily admit that. He's done it the correct way, as everyone keeps saying. He's come here, he's earned a living, got the branding of him, people love him, and he's lived a fantastic life. I want to do the same thing. So to have him as a teammate, learn off of him was absolutely brilliant. When it comes to race side of things, he sacrificed his whole qualifying at Brands GP to tow me around just to give me the best opportunity for that year. He literally went, I'm all yours. Maybe not in that way, but I'm all yours. Just literally follow me the whole way round in qualifying. So every tyre stop, he if I messed up a lot to set the tyres up and ruined them, he was coming in with me whether he needed to change tyres or not. A couple of points for the year, like Knockhill, him, James Cole, Josh Price, they all moved out the way for me at Knockhill to give me that little run through in race 3 that I needed to catch back up to Colin. So I've had Jason behind me, defending off people, trying to just give me a bit of breathing space. But then off track, he's always just kind of, he never really pulls you aside and has a good old deep chat with you. He's not that type of person. But he just drop his little comments in, and it'd be like, why are you worrying? You've got this. It's those type of comments that just make you think, well, yeah, you've been there, you've done it, you've experienced it. I'm going to listen to you. And yeah, a few times he's pointed me in the right direction. And that's probably another reason. I know, I get this is now how Jason is, and it's absolutely fine now. But that's, again, why I'm probably so upbeat at Snap, because someone that I've looked up to my whole career helped me massively to win the championship and play a big part of that whole package. To then fire me off. And I was a bit like, that's just kind of, it not ruined it, but it just really peed me off, I'll be honest with you.
To be fair, mate, I thought that was your fault.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. How do we end this? But look, I'll sit here now and say, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have gone through wide. I gave him the complete opportunity just to run me on the exit. And look, it's one of those.
Was he going to make the corner? That's what I always think.
Yeah, no. Not if there was a Subaru on the outside.
I have to say, the Subaru at the time had about 68,000 brake horsepower, less than everyone else.
Yeah.
But you could brake about two truck lengths later than everyone else because the chassis was so switched on. And as he braked at the same time with you, I was like, yeah, that's an accident.
Yep, that's just waiting to happen.
What was said? Tell us what was said, mate.
What after that? Look, I got out of the car absolutely raging. And there's a couple of times in my career that my dad's been in front of me. When he knows I'm pissed off, he's stopped me. He's gone, whoa! But he didn't even have a chance. I was gone. He kind of moved out the way. I walked straight up to Jason. And I'd said exactly what I felt at the time. And Jason, as Jason does, and it makes me laugh now, he just looked at me and went, why were you going around the outside of me? But I was like, I can't really argue with that. But he just said it in like such a way that he wasn't bothered one bit. And it just sent my levels from here to here. It just made me feel so much worse. And everyone got the brunt of it after that. And I laugh about it. I find it hilarious. But yeah, I was pissed off. My emotions were flat out. We were comfortably going to win that race. So you just had it all taken away from you. For someone that you've looked up to your whole career, that helped you 2 years ago, it's like, it's one of those. But
I just laugh because I just seen a picture of you and it's the worst picture ever. It's just you like,
point yet.
You what, mate?
It's quality.
Because his nose coming out of his helmet and he's just like that.
Well, that was the best. He didn't want to take his helmet off for some reason. I was ready.
But it separated touring car fans. It was as if you were the new Matt Neal for Jason.
100%. Sunday, I woke up and I'm like, I've been slated left, right, and centre. But then I've got other people, like most of the guys in here, guys and girls in here, that are backing me up. Like, what's he doing? I've got then people going, you're an idiot. I'm like, oh, this is new. I've never had this before. And it's absolutely mental. But I'll be honest with you, it gave me, that was another massive learning curve for me. And I needed that to happen in my career in a year that wasn't, or didn't have, like for this year. If that happened to me now, that's a problem. But we were nowhere that year. We were just going for pay, like trying to get a win under our belt. And it happened in the correct year for me to learn that side of it again. There's still a new side that I hadn't experienced where suddenly you just get your emotions run completely wild. I've learned to control that now. So, yeah, but look, I can sit here and laugh loads about it. It's hilarious. I'm even going to try and find the photo and show everyone. It's like, it's quality. I can sit here and laugh about it now.
It was the best. Did you ever see? I did like a little. I copied it and did my own commentary on it, and I know you've seen it and you laughed at it. Apparently, Jason was like so childish that O'Neill saying that, and I was
really?
Like, yeah, he weren't happy, yeah, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, but he wasn't devastated, but I just think it was a bit like, you know what I mean? Just shut up, O'Neill. The usual from the touring car drivers. Mate, hey, listen, while you're watching that, I'm trying to find that photo because it is the best photo I've ever seen. It's like the Milky Bar kid has gone double hard. Like, mate, it was the best thing I've ever seen. Honestly, the picture of you trying to beat up an old man is just the best thing I've ever seen. Fast forward to 2020 and the Infiniti, Laser Tools Racing with BMR Engineering. Explain how that's come about and tell us, mate. I mean, Jesus, you have won. Have you won 4 races already?
Yeah.
You've won 4 races already. How many, mate?
No, how many podiums have we got? I don't know, but it's 4 races already. So, yeah.
So you've won 4 races, and in your championship winning year, by now, as in the races, you'd only won 1.
Yep.
Does that bode well, mate? It's got to, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, I think 17, at this point, we weren't even inside the top 10, I don't think, in points-wise. And prior to Knockhill, we were 19 points behind. We actually got it down to 8 points before race 3, but normal reverse grid, Colin managed to flip some of that around. But look, to have 4 wins under our belt, new car, we're still learning it, finding its weaknesses, the strengths. I think we're in a very good position. I think we've got a fantastic car when it comes to the wet. But I still think there's room for improvement. I still think we've got some tracks that are going to favour us, some tracks that aren't going to favour us. But the perk is 90% of the tracks that don't favour us won't favour Colin. So I'd like to think when we're not quite on the pace, Colin's not going to be on the pace. It's not like we're up against a front-wheel drive car where it's going to be massively quicker at one track, but then slower at another. We're in the same sort of package to some extent. So he's going to be thinking exactly the same thing, matching each other, just slightly better in when we can, and playing it safe to some extent, because race 3 is, as you've seen, where it can all happen. Race 1 and 2 is where we make the points up. And that's purely what we set out to do at Knockhill. So car's in a fantastic position. I've got an absolutely mega team behind it. The whole, how it come about, it was one of those that Aidan kind of back end of last year made that switch over to it. They brought the car out. It was a completely new thing to him, not done rear-wheel drive. So they invited me and my engineer, Tony, over to Snetterton to test it. And that was part of us getting a feel of what the car could potentially be like, but at the same time, obviously trying to help Aidan in some guidance. So, went into that. Within 2 sessions, I'm like, we've got, this car's got massive potential. Let's do it. So yeah, behind the scenes, over from sort of that point onwards, all the way through to sort of end last race of the year, they were just working away, getting the cars ready. And as soon as that last race come, bang, we're into the Infinitis. And that merged between BMR, well, at the time it was BMR Racing, name changed to BMR Engineering. And then BMR Engineering now merged with Laser Tools Racing. And that was purely to combine the engineering ethics that we've got, or what we had at the time at BMR, into Laser Tools, because look, fantastic image, cars, trucks, everything looks great. Merge the two, you've seen what we can deliver. So it was tricky. It wasn't an easy merge. Obviously, you've got 2 teams that suddenly haven't worked with each other, trying to put them under one roof. They work differently to how we do. So there's always going to be those little bits, but I think it's been fantastic. Bob and Aidan have been absolutely mega. Bob's fantastic at delivering sponsors. He's brilliant with that. We've got great backers with Laser Tools, RCIB, many more. I could sit here and list them. But look, they're all on the T-shirt at the minute. They're absolutely mega, and it allowed almost the BMR engineering team just to purely focus on, let's build 2 proper race cars, and that's what they've done. The whole package, it works. They look after one bit, we look after the other. Rock up at the track, we all run as one, open book. I'm happy to push Aidan as much as I can. He's a great guy, got huge potential, still a lot to learn, but he's willing to learn, and that's the massive perk. And between us, you saw it Knockhill, the 2 cars can rattle around the track together.
Yeah, I know, it's great to see, mate. And the car's looking strong. I think for me, the proof will be in the pudding at Thruxton. You get through Thruxton in a good position, and you'll be sweet. Ash, we have got 1 minute and 15 seconds in. Personally, I want to say one, thanks to you, mate. You've been absolutely awesome. The numbers have been amazing. Loads of people tuning in and having a listen to you, mate. I hope I'm still not pixelated, but Simon Needham at Needham Croucher, or Croucher Needham, great. Absolutely brilliant. Been great to you, haven't they, mate? And I'll let you say thanks to them and say bye, mate.
Yeah, no, again, thanks, Paul, for obviously taking your time out. Simon, Croucher Needham, if you haven't, give him a little follow. These guys are massive to my career. And like I said, without them, I wouldn't be sat in a touring car. But all of you guys sat viewing, look, shame we can't have you there this year, but it's hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get you there at the end of the year. If not, next year, we'll make it entertaining. So keep tuning in. Thanks again. Peace out.
Perfect. I love it. Watch and learn.
Look at the old guns.
Laters on, boyo. Enjoy your ice cream.
No. See you later, Spamhead. Ciao, ciao.